Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. I've been covering the Epstein case for 2 years, not stopping. More news: rat-faced pedophile, sex trafficking, ugly monster Ghislaine Maxwell back in the news, loses bid to ban depositions from jail. So I showed you, I have a whole Epstein playlist on YouTube. Please watch it. Some of my most watched videos are about Epstein. So what this is about, well, now I've showed you her deposition, and she fought to not have them allowed in, and there's going to be redactions, but she's, and I showed you when I read through the depositions in that video from, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, she lies and contradicts herself in these depositions. Now, these depositions were when Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who's one of Epstein's victims, called out, and many Epstein victims have said how awful Ghislaine Maxwell was. And not only did she recruit them and traffic them, but she participated in the rape of them. So imagine having to have sex with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, which they did to children. So the question here that I've had ever since Ghislaine Maxwell's been arrested, one, I haven't seen any mugshots. A little curious about that. Two, what is the long-term play? Because we know that these billionaire pedophile sex traffickers, their whole thing, and we know this from the Maria Farmer interview that she did with Whitney Webb, is they want to, anytime something of this info, somebody gets caught or it comes out, they always try to just sort of seal it off like, oh, we caught a bad apple, or one bad, you know, like the Catholic Church did, like a few bad apple priests. No, the Catholic Church knew about it, covered it up, kept these guys in the diocese and just moved them around. So that's the same thing with this, right? And they've tried to do that since Epstein hung himself with a paper t-shirt, which we know is now a lie. The guards have lied. We know it's bullshit. We all know there's no way Epstein killed himself. There's no way he hung him. There's no way. The video footage just disappears. There's no way. So the powerful people that are in Epstein's book, they don't want, you know, we know that Epstein was basically middle management. So the really powerful people, Bill Clinton was on Epstein's plane 26 times. Hillary was on 2 times. Both Clintons were at Epstein's compound in New Mexico numerous times. Ghislaine Maxwell was at their daughter's wedding. And then I know that the pro-Obama Clinton people, oh, I don't want to, or they try to give you this. The Clintons didn't know. Right. The Clintons are just so dumb. They're so dense. And nobody does security checks when they get to meet a president or a secretary of state. Not possible. We know that Trump is involved. He was on Epstein's plane once. People were trafficked out of Mar-a-Lago. He put Acosta and William Barr, with clear ties to Epstein, in his cabinet deliberately. He said, I wish Ghislaine Maxwell well. I wish her well when she got arrested last year. So the ruling elites are awful. And if you're drinking the QAnon Kool-Aid, you're being propagandized. It's a psyop. They give you about 70% of the truth, but they want you to believe that Trump had nothing to do with Epstein. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. So the reason I bring that up is, what does this really mean? Because this is corporate media. This is from the Independent. So this is corporate media. So it's hard to say what the real motive behind this is, but we'll get into the details. Judge Allison J. Nathan denied her lawyer's request to keep the interviews out of her upcoming trial, in which she has pleaded not guilty to charges alleging she recruited 4 teenage girls between 1994 and 2004 for Jeffrey Epstein for sexual abuse. Judge ruled that Ms. Maxwell's lawyers will have time to recommend redactions. Why did I highlight redaction? So we're going to allow the depositions in court, but we're going to let you redact some stuff. Okay. Gee, I wonder if there's any powerful names that get redacted. Gee, I wonder if Les Wexner or Alan Dershowitz or Bill Clinton's name gets, I wonder if those names are going to get redacted if they haven't been already. Gee, I wonder. Okay. So they're putting her in there. They're going to allow this, but it's going to be heavily redacted. And what they're going to do is they're starting to paint this as Ghislaine and Jeffrey were the what they're the bad ones. Epstein's dead. She's probably going to die in prison. And then they're going to go, well, we got it. Sex trafficking's over. We fixed it. It's the same model. I always talk about Jerry Sandusky with Penn State University. And when I had child crimes investigator Eric Oldenburg on this show, I mean, he talked about how when he was still on, he's retired now, but he was still in 2011 when Sandusky got busted. He said to me, he's probably getting kids for alumni, and it's always a bigger thing. And that's what we know from Maria Farmer. So all this starts to adds up. She's the one, Maria Farmer said that Les Wexner was the head of the North American snake in terms of sex trafficking, children. And Ohio is like the sex trafficking capital of America, where he lives and has his mansion, one of his mansions. So what this looks like is they just want her to get to go. We got the one bad guy, and then she's going to die in prison, just like Joe Paterno died and Sandusky went to prison, and then it's done. We don't have to hear about it ever again. And therefore, the billionaire sex trafficking pedophiles can keep doing this. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. They're going to keep this going. That's what this says to me. And they can't kill her in prison like Epstein, because that raised too many questions and people wouldn't let that go. And that's what they don't want. They don't want people not letting it go and asking questions. And even when they wouldn't let it go, they were able to move the conversation to, did Epstein kill himself or was he not? And again, when we're talking about that, we're not talking about the ruling elites. We're not talking about all the powerful people, the Saudi family, the British royal family, both political parties in America, Bill Gates. We're not talking about any of those people when we're having this, like, did he kill himself? Did he not kill? Is he still alive? Did the CIA, you know what I mean? We're caught up in this sort of like reality TV drama rather than pulling back and seeing who's really doing this. How are these billionaires are really raping and selling children in plain sight all around the world and getting away with it because they have the power to do so. Interviews that made me feel maybe necessary to protect their client. So get ready for a lot of redactions. She's in a special confinement section of the Metropolitan Detention Centre in Brooklyn to ensure her safety until her trial. Epstein was incarcerated in the same facility and was found dead after an apparent suicide in 2019. That's all they're going to say. They're not going to put anything in this. This is why we can't trust the corporate media. They're not going to put anything in there. How the only people that have been arrested were the guards. And they were like, nowhere does anyone ask what happened to the video footage. There's video cameras all throughout the prison. What happened to that footage? No one's like constantly asking, where's that? Who's responsible for that? Why did it get destroyed? What's the chain? How does the footage normally? Who's in charge of it? Where does it go? No one's asked those questions. We don't have answers to those because they don't ask those questions. Now get ready. Now there's more whitewashing coming like that. That Epstein documentary on Netflix showed interviews with victims saying really like profound, like, we saw these powerful people and these powerful people and these powerful people. And then they would just cut to something else. So the documentarians didn't even follow up on that. They just like, well, we let the victim speak and then we don't investigate further. And so there's another documentary coming that's probably going to help. And I know some people that aren't following this case, friends of mine, people I like, respect, who are very smart people, who said after they watched that documentary, they didn't know much about Epstein at all. After they watched that documentary, they're like, well, the Clintons probably didn't know. So I went, oh, when a friend of mine who I like and respect said that to me, I thought, oh, that's the purpose of that documentary, to just get the majority of the population that isn't paying that much attention to just buy some narrative of, well, he tricked a lot of people. How could we know? Like Harvey Weinstein. How did we know? Harvey Weinstein, who donated $2.3 million to various Democrats, like the Clintons, like Joe Biden, like Kamala Harris. Upcoming British documentary, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's shadow reveals through court documents that Ms Maxwell was using her influence as a British socialite to build Epstein's network of powerful associates since the 1980s. Okay, that's good to know. But we're not focusing on who these powerful associates. There should be more people getting arrested. Prince Andrew should be in jail right now. Bill Clinton probably should at least be brought in for questioning, as should Donald Trump. Why haven't the Clintons been brought in for just questioning at least? Why isn't the media at least questioning them for the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was at their daughter's wedding 2 years after she settled out of court? Why haven't any of these questions been asked? Why do you got to come to YouTube to get these questions asked, right? Ghislaine Maxwell's association with Jeffrey Epstein started years earlier than previously believed. Okay, she's in custody. She's awful. But I want who's on the black book. I want the most powerful people. I want their names. I want them arrested. That's not going to happen. So we're just going to make the story is now being narrated. Maxwell and Epstein, they went back a lot further. Those are your two bad guys. One's dead. The other's in jail. She's going to spend a lot of time in jail. Go to sleep, America. The nightmare's over. We got the boogeymen. They're gone. It's okay. That's what this is about. This document, the deposition is being allowed in court. It's going to be heavily redacted, but we got the document in there. You see this? See, they just slightly move the narrative. They just move it over here just a little bit to keep our focus away from. Nowhere in any of these articles is the name. The Clintons aren't mentioned, right? Les Wexner, why is his name not mentioned? They'll just mention, oh, there were some ties or some connections, but they won't say, why is they're not digging deep? They're not digging deep. It had been thought that Maxwell was currently being held in New York City jail awaiting her trial on sex trafficking charges. Began her association, and they always leave out the fact that she participated. She's also a pedophile. They call her madam, recruiter. Yeah, those are things she did, but she also participated. She's a pedophile. A woman having sex with a female child is not any less horrific and doesn't make her, well, it's not really a pedophile if it's a woman doing it to a girl or a woman doing it to a boy. It's not really. No, you're a pedophile. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you. They say that, again, listen to this language. Began her association with Epstein following the death of her father, newspaper tycoon Robert Maxwell, in November 91. You left out Mossad. You left out Mossad agent who mysteriously died. Oh, newspaper tycoon. Researchers for the documentary Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's Shadow, found that her famous, wealthy friends, including Prince Andrew, were becoming part of Epstein's network in the late 1980s. Well, if Prince Andrew gets arrested, it's because Buckingham Palace wants to just make, if it gets so bad, they'll cut him loose and just say, oh, he's the one bad apple pedophile we had in the royal family, and let that go. Even though there's that TV, Bobby Seville or whatever his name was, guy in English TV star that was a notorious pedophile with the royal family's been raping kids for centuries. Come on. These royal families are horrific. They're not noble. They're not good people. And in America, we have our own royal families, like the Clintons. There she is. There's a pedophile sex trafficker at Chelsea Clinton. So there's a former president, a acting Secretary of State mom. So we're all supposed to believe that there was no background checks for anyone at this wedding. This was just a regular old wedding between like a married couple like you would have at your local hotel. Oh, by the way, I did a video that's in my Epstein playlist on how Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were invited to the Clinton White House in the 90s. Again, you got to get really scrubbed background checks to allow that happen, unless the president says it's okay. Oh, here's Ghislaine goofing around with other pedophile sex trafficker, Jean-Luc Brunel, who's also supposedly in custody. Haven't seen a mugshot. This is them goofing around on Epstein's horrifying island. And why aren't we talking about any of these people? CEO of Barclays and JP Morgan, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary. There's Epstein. there's Bill Gates, and there's Boris Nikolic. Oh, he was the Gates advisor. He was a financial advisor for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who also just happened to be the executor of Epstein's will when he died. Weird. How come none of this is in the corporate media stories? I mean, it's not like there's flight logs of Bill Gates flying on Epstein's plane. It's not like we have this, a matter of public record that I'm showing to you right now. It's not like there's all these photos of Trump and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's not like we've got Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell and then child Virginia Roberts. It's not like we have any of this evidence. So it's only Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. We don't have to ask anymore. Go to sleep, America. There you go. Don't ask questions. The corporate media's got this. There's your heroes. There they are. There's lies. There's nonsense and lies and more lies and then lies and lies highlighted. And here's just some of the facts. Thanks for watching, folks. 2 years running. Not letting the story go until we round up every billionaire sex trafficking pedophile piece of shit. Follow the money. So all these wealthy people are involved. Connect the dots. They own media outlets. Les Wexner buys a lot of ad time. Disney, all these channels. It's all... They buy a lot of ad time with a lot of these media outlets, so they're going to get favorable coverage. And now we kind of know what the game plan is with Ghislaine. I was wondering, why are they going to do this? If they kill her in prison, there's going to be more outrage. So now we get it. She and Jeffrey are Bonnie and Clyde. We got the sex trafficking Bonnie and Clyde. We got them. They're behind bars. Stop asking questions. We can go back to trafficking children, killing some of them, stealing them, whatever. See this? No one in the corporate media is asking this question. If they do, they ask half the question. Fox will ask the question about the Clintons, but they won't ask it about Trump. CNN and them will just they'll talk about Trump, but they won't really go into the Clintons that much. Support our show. Going to be announcing tour date soon. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.